Thanks so much for joining me. Let's talk about the wildfire situation in British Columbia, where we have an ongoing provincial state of emergency, as well as a recent ban on recreational off-road vehicles across much of southern BC due to the potential for accidental wildfire starts. Many of these fires burning fairly intensely in recent days, given the dry fuels and high winds at times, as can be seen here in this video footage that I shot in remote southwestern BC in recent days. If you'd like to see more of this footage, I will link it in the video description. Let's talk about what's going on out there as of Monday evening. Satellite imagery showing a fairly active spot here. This is the southern edge of the Brunswick complex, so it is fairly remote, this area east of the Fraser Canyon. Likely burning through some dense vegetation there, driven by high winds, even got some pyrocumulus there. So this is certainly our most active spot in southern BC as of Monday evening. Some spots there also farther to the north on the Big Bar complex, where we also have some thunderstorm activity in the area. And then, of course, farther to the southeast here, getting that clearing here over the Bald Range fire near Summerland as well. So we can see sort of that western, northern, and southern flanks, all those flanks active as of Monday evening. And given the clear skies and the potential for some gusty winds this evening, especially out of the west and northwest, we'll have to watch out for further spread of that fire to the south of Summerland on Monday evening, getting into Tuesday. If we take a look at radar, we can actually see that smoke plume actually being detected on weather radar from the southern edge of the Brunswick complex there. And you can actually see a little bit there as well on the Bald Range fire just north of Penticton. Of course, this is weather radar basically picking up ash and pine needles and whatnot getting lofted into the atmosphere. So that's a sign that this fire is, again, fairly active. Farther to the north, looks like the northern edge of the Big Bar complex actually getting some thunderstorm activity. So storms obviously can be both good and bad. Lightning can ignite new wildfires, but if you get heavy downpours, it can also reduce the ongoing wildfire activity on the ground. Although some significant progress has been done sort of in that area near 70 Mile House in recent days. The provincial picture, 102 active wildfires as of Monday evening, 45% of those out of control, hence the basically agency preparedness level of 5, which is the highest level in the province of British Columbia, meaning that we need help from outside of the province and outside of the country. Area burned so far in 2026 as of August 10th is just short of 385,000 hectares in the province. Of course, we've got a lot of ongoing evacuation orders across the province, as well as alerts. We've had some downgrades from orders to alerts, especially here on the northern edge of the Big Bar complex, but we have other areas that are still certainly under orders, including Clinton. This fire here, the Brunswick Creek fire, as it continues to spread eastward and on our northeast and southeastern flanks here, we've got some orders in effect west and southwest of Merritt, as well in the Okanagan Valley, especially along the west side of Okanagan Lake, of course, with the Bradley Creek complex here west of Vernon, and of course between Summerland and Penticton. With the Bald Range fire, we've got lots of ongoing evacuation orders in those areas. We actually take a look at the action here based on this map from firemap.live showing us our active wildfire conditions. Not too much action given the relatively lighter winds, cooler moisture conditions perhaps farther to the north on the Big Bar complex. But again, Clinton still under evacuation order. We do know that we have crews in there conducting structure protection, doing mop-up, just basically meaning putting out your hot spots, and continuing to try to protect the community of Clinton. So we still have that ongoing evacuation order in the community, but looks like there's some progress being made around there, which is good news. Of course, here farther to the south with the Brunswick complex, some of these fingers here being really driven by strong gusty winds out of the southwest at times in recent days. So this is our really active area here along the southern edge of the fire, pushing east. We do have some previous burns in these areas that the fire may run into, but there's also lots of totally available fuels out here across the landscape for these fires. So that's likely why we're seeing elevated action here pushing toward the Coquihalla Highway. We'll have to see if it reaches the Coquihalla corridor in the coming days, but for now it's still farther to the west of that road. If we move east into the Okanagan Valley, again taking a look here, it's good to see The Bradley Creek wildfire being held now basically means it's not expected to progress beyond any our predetermined boundaries here. Farther to the south with the Quilpata Creek wildfire, if I'm saying that right, we do also have a lot of action with wildfire suppression. Basically in many of these fires, you'll tend to see sort of a combination of tactics like heavy equipment cutting control lines, basically removing flammable vegetation down to mineral soil. And then when possible, when the winds and weather cooperate, we can conduct planned ignitions, which removes fuel further and kind of helps establish a control line and a perimeter to limit the spread of these fires. Of course, these fires in the Okanagan occurring along Okanagan Lake, very popular tourist destination, lots of watercraft on the lake at this time of the year. So again, officials reminding residents to stay away from those air operations, give them lots of room. If you see firefighting aircraft, don't go anywhere near them on the boat. Of course, the Bald Range wildfire farther to the south still causing significant problems in the South Okanagan region. We did unfortunately, very tragically, have one fatality with this fire west of Summerland when it began, I guess, Friday night. So that's very unfortunate. The fire continues to be active on sort of all flanks here, the north, the west, and the south. Given the light winds, we see spread occurring on all flanks. Looks like a lot of action is being done here in the community to prevent further spread towards Summerland. We do know that we have some structures lost throughout parts of the community. The downtown has been spared, is what we've been hearing, but portions of the community likely on the western edge and in some of the more rural areas, the farming and ranching areas to the west of the community, likely seeing some damage. The full extent of that yet to be revealed in the coming days. And of course, we'll have to watch for further spread to the south here with lots of available vegetation. If we see continued northerly winds in the coming days, this fire could continue to push farther to the south and east. Again, we want to keep this fire away from Penticton. Hopefully it rains fairly soon, although we'll have to take a look at the forecast to see if that's possible. Of course, we've got a lot of smoke out there continuing to reduce air quality throughout the southern interior BC, northeastern Washington state there. And of course, smoke is not only bad for our health, but it also limits visibility for air operations. We've had canceled flights even into Kelowna Airport, and it's been affecting our firefighting operations as well. So that is certainly a factor there. Let's talk about the potential, the weather, what we're expecting in the coming days here. And this is our winds at 500 millibars, about 5 kilometers above the earth. We can see a bit of a jet stream there across southern BC and a little bit of an upper level low here over central BC. As we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, it looks like that we're going to have a little bit of an upper trough sinking southward across BC into Wednesday. This is going to do a few things. Whenever we have these upper troughs, we can get cooler temperatures aloft, which increase instability, meaning that there's a greater risk of thunderstorms during daytime heating. But we're also going to be seeing a bit of a northerly component of the wind for a few days there through mid, perhaps even into late week, which could actually provide some relief in terms of air quality in portions of the southern interior, particularly perhaps Kamloops or areas east of Kamloops along the Highway 1 corridor toward Revelstoke, where it's been really bad air quality for days, as well as getting into the Okanagan Valley there. So if we get that push of northerly winds, it'll actually blow the smoke out. So we're looking forward to the potential of some improved air quality in portions of southern BC, given those northerly winds in the coming days. But like I say, a little bit unsettled as kind of get this, like with daytime heating, we're going to get this kind of daily risk of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. So again, given how dry it is out there, it's likely that these storms will produce what's called dry lightning. Basically, you could have rain falling below these storm clouds, but it can evaporate before it hits the ground, and can have gusty conditions as well. So the gusty conditions, the lightning, gives us potential for ignitions and wildfire spread as well. So given sort of temperatures near or slightly above normal in the coming days, but gusty, showery, thunderstormy conditions across southern BC, we could see the risk of new ignitions in the coming days, as well as fire spread. So hopefully some of these storms come with heavy downpours that can actually douse our fires. These are certainly not going to put the fires out. We would need at this point several days of significant sort of moderate precipitation to really, limit the action that we're seeing on these fires. So we're really hoping for that, but we're not seeing anything like that in the near term, at least in this next week or so. again, with fairly light precipitation forecast. Again, most of this precipitation that's being forecast in areas where most of our problematic fires are is likely going to be convective in nature, so very highly localized. Some areas may get a heavy downpour, many other areas will not. And in general, just light accumulation. So we may see some improvements in some areas, at least very temporarily, if a fire gets hit by a heavy downpour. But again, given the risk of lightning and gusty winds at times, we could see just more fire ignitions and more spread in other areas. Looks like areas into sort of southeastern BC may actually get some more heavy precipitation. So for some of the fires burning in the eastern portions of the interior, we may actually get some relief out there. But again, farther to the west, again, we're looking at the chance of scattered showers, thunderstorms, potential for lightning and new lightning-caused wildfires with ongoing continued dry, gusty conditions across the southern interior. And to round out the end of this video, I'll leave you with this video clip discussing basically the universal recipe for wildfires anywhere in the world.
There's three main ingredients for wildfire no matter where you are in the world: weather, fuel, and an ignition. Let's break them down. First, weather. These are your hot, dry, windy conditions that are important both in drying out vegetation ahead of a potential fire and in driving a fire once one ignites, in particular the winds. Second, this is your fuel. This is your vegetation. And things that matter for vegetation are things like density, arrangement, and the fuel moisture content. If you've got very dry fuel, like this tinder dry grass here in the southern BC interior, this fuel can easily carry a wildfire, and it can burn very intensely when you have those strong winds. And finally, an ignition. This obviously comes only from a human, either accidentally or intentionally, or from lightning. So once we have all three, we can have a wildfire. And once these fires really get ripping, often the only thing that'll stop them is a significant change in the weather, cool and moist conditions, or a significant change in the fuel, like the fire runs out of fuel.